The January transfer window has officially arrived, and it looks set to be a very busy window for Arsenal Football Club. So let's find out today what reports have claimed about Alexander Isak, what David Ornstein has confirmed about Maitland Niles, and could Arsenal make an offer for Jorginho Wijnaldum? Let's find out in today's episode of The Transfer FC. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Babs14 and we are back in business, baby. Transfers FC is back, so enjoy. Don't forget to smash a like on the video and also do subscribe if you're new and help your brother on his road to 70,000 subscribers. But getting into the Arsenal transfer news and starting off with Alexander Isak. There is no secret that Arsenal want to sign a brand new blockbuster centre forward, a player that is a short-term improvement on Alexander Lacazette, but also the long-term striker to take Arsenal to that next level. And while you have players like Dusan Vlahovic, I've heard Jonathan David, let's focus in on Swedish international Alexander Isak. As according to reports in Spain today, with Barcelona unable to afford Alexander Isak, Arsenal are now favourites to sign the Swedish striker. Arsenal Football Club favourites to sign Alexander Isak, but why exactly is this? Well, according to the same report, Sociedad don't want to strengthen Barca, who want to sign Isak. Arsenal love the player and can offer the money up front for the 22-year-old, which gives them the edge over Xavi's side. So our gargantuan team has the ability to put the money on the table, and also in terms of Sociedad, they don't want to give him to Barca in the first place. But most importantly here, of course, it goes back to the price tag. Having signed a brand new contract back in the summer transfer window, we are talking upwards of 70 to 80 million euros that have been reported for Alexander Isak. Now in terms of Arsenal, most certainly we'll be able to put that money on the table, but is Alexander Isak worth that? Now in terms of right now, 22 years of age, he has tremendous potential, and when talking about purely fundamentals, has an insane burst of pace, has sensational dribbling, and going into the long term, I have no doubts that Isak can become a very good striker. But bringing it back to Arsenal, if we want to invest that sort of cash and put it on the table, is an Isak whose best goal scoring season was just 17 league goals, worth 80 to 70 million euros. But of course, in terms of Arsenal, we do have long-term standing interest, as according to The Athletic back in the summer, Arsenal were monitoring the Real Sociedad striker Alexander Isak, with Edu Gaspar a big fan of the Swede. But in terms of Arsenal in the last transfer window, even though we spent £50 million on Benjamin White, but instead of the big name signings, Arsenal pursued players that had points to prove one, but secondly had the fundamentals to become top players at Arsenal. And look at Aaron Ramsdale as a prime example. Arsenal did not sign him because he was relegated with Sheffield United, but Mikel Arteta signed him because he saw the fundamentals for Ramsdale to become the long-term Arsenal number one. For the reported price tag of 70 to 80 million euros, would you guys be down to see Arsenal invest that sort of money in Swedish international Alexander Isak? Keeping it on the strikers, let's go over to Florence and talk about a certain Dusan Vlahovic, who today, speaking on his future, says, "I have a great season behind me. I am aware that I have taken a serious step in my career. Only God knows what will happen in the next period. My desire is to take Fiorentina to Europe, because we haven't been in Europe for a long time. We will see." In terms of overall goals scored in 2021 in Serie A, this guy matched the record set by a certain Cristiano Ronaldo. To do that at the age of 21 is very impressive. And in terms of Arsenal, according to Fabrizio Romano and Gianluca Di Marzio, they have contacted Fiorentina in the past and discussed a potential January transfer. But in terms of money, once again, I'm sure Arsenal can put that on the table. But secondly, in terms of the player himself, there have been a lot of reports confirming that he isn't convinced by the Arsenal project. So bringing you back to Mikel Arteta, who back in 2020 said if a player has to be convinced to sign for Arsenal, that player isn't made for Arsenal Football Club. And for me, I think we have to stick to our morals here. As great as a player as Vlahovic is right now, and might be in the future, I don't want players that have to be convinced to sign for my gargantuan institution. But of course, if it came down to you right now watching this video, do you guys want to see Arsenal pay the money for Dusan Vlahovic and ultimately convince him to join Arsenal Football Club? Bringing you back to the Emirates Stadium, and let's talk Arsenal's ex-captain Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. As according to a Mirror Football exclusive, Newcastle have contacted Arsenal over signing Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang on a loan-to-buy deal with a view to a £20 million summer transfer deal. Imagine a year ago I said to you Newcastle want to sign Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and also say they do have somewhat of a chance as well. Well, this, my friends, is 2022, and in terms of Newcastle, they have the money to put on the table. With the Saudis taking over at Newcastle, these guys have an insane amount of money and want to invest it. One of the main issues for him in terms of any potential outgoing Arsenal transfer is the likes of Juventus and Barca can't afford his wages. And so in terms of Newcastle, if they were to put a suitable offer on the table, especially actually to Arsenal. I'm inclined to seeing Arsenal accept. But in terms of the player himself, would he want to go to Newcastle, who as of right now are fighting relegation? But what do you guys make of Aubameyang to Newcastle? I can't believe I'm saying it, but is it something that you guys will be for, or are you against it? Keeping it on the Arsenal centre forwards, according to Chris Wheatley, Arsenal have activated the recall clause of Nicolas Moller's loan with Victoria Cologne. Now I'm not sure how many games he has played, but in terms of Arsenal, why have they brought him back? Well, according to Mr. Wheatley, Moller is likely to be reintegrated into the under-23s, with Folarin Balogun heading out on loan this month. In terms of the Arsenal Academy, they have been somewhat on fire this year, and they have been fighting for the Premier League 2 title. But in terms of the best player, Folarin Balogun, as David Ornstein has already confirmed, Arsenal are looking to loan the player out. So with that in mind, Arsenal have recalled Mr. Nicolas Moller. In terms of Folarin Balogun, according to Darmet Chef of Sky Sports News, Middlesbrough want to sign Folarin Balogun on loan. The Borough's boss Chris Wilder tried to sign him at Sheffield United. A number of Championship clubs plus Saint Etienne are keen too. He has been on fire for the under-23s, and he has proven time and time again he is above that under-23s level. I think the time is right for Balogun to go out there and to play more first-team regular football for an actual competitive side. What league should Arsenal loan out young Folarin Balogun to? The Championship, the Bundesliga, Liga, or maybe even to the Premier League? Okay, moving on, let's talk Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Talk to me about Fofty, who of course has been heavily linked with a transfer to the Serie A with Jose Mourinho's Roma. And in terms of today, David Ornstein has confirmed that Roma have submitted an offer to take Ainsley Maitland-Niles on loan until the end of the season, with an option to purchase in the summer. But as yet, there has been no response from Arsenal to the bid. But in terms of Arsenal, there seems to be a bit of a delay, and I think I can understand why. Because of course, with Thomas Partey and Maitland both going to AFCON, apart from Maitland-Niles, that leaves Arsenal with Granit Xhaka and Albert Samuel Lokonga. Now dare I say, an injury was to occur, that would leave Arsenal very thin, and if Maitland-Niles was to go, that means Arsenal would have to play a Charlie Patino in a massive top 4 race. And so I think in terms of Arsenal, they are just delaying the transfer as much as possible until first things first, Roma put the money on the table, but also in terms of Arsenal, if they can find a replacement and sign him, that would also be ideal. Ornstein also claims that Maitland-Niles is believed to be only interested in a move to Roma, and if it does not materialise, he intends to stay at Arsenal. There is a feeling that Arsenal are dragging their heels somewhat after initial progress in talks. I can understand both desires from Arsenal and Maitland-Niles, but most importantly, this Roma transfer stinks of Xhaka in the summer. Xhaka was a player after all, who was in advanced talk to sign for Roma, who was even taking lessons in Italian. But despite Arsenal asking for a pretty reasonable price tag, Roma refused to put that money on the table. Arsenal are not actively looking to sell Maitland-Niles, and the player is also happy to stay at Arsenal if a move does not materialise. So in terms of Roma, Mr. Jose Mourinho, the message is very clear. If you want man like Fofty, put the money on the table. In terms of the Arsenal players officially heading to the African Cup of Nations, includes Nicolas Pepe, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Mohamed Elneny, Omar Rakik, and Thomas Partey. Quite a few experienced Arsenal players, but most importantly, the Ghanaian excellence that is Thomas Partey. In his last game against Manchester City, potentially putting in his best ever game in his Arsenal shirt. And even though he was out of form at the start of the year, make no mistake, Partey is still a very important player to the current Arsenal side. So now that he's gone to AFCON, he'll miss the likes of Tottenham and the semi-finals against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup. I think in terms of Arsenal, they will need to sign a replacement. But on that potential, according to Dario Sport in Spain, Arsenal are working on obtaining a loan deal for Wijnaldum until the end of the season, as they'll lose Thomas Partey and Elneny for the next few weeks to AFCON. Now in terms of us Arsenal fans, a lot of us want to see Arsenal sign a blockbuster transfer and spend the cash in this window. The likes of Renato Sanchez and Bruno Guimaraes and others are very lucrative. But in terms of the January transfer window, as much as fans don't want to hear it, it's very hard to spend high amounts of money. And so as Arsenal have done in the past few years, they might look for short-term resolutions. And in terms of Georginio Wijnaldum, 31 years of age, certainly Premier League proven, and wants to leave PSG on a loan transfer, he actually fits pretty perfectly in Mikel Arteta's 4-3-3 variation and give Arsenal the extra depth, quality and experience in midfield. If it came down to you, would you be open to Arsenal signing Georginio Wijnaldum on a loan transfer in this January transfer window? Keeping it on the Arsenal midfielders, according to reports in Uruguay, Lucas Torreira is set to leave Arsenal on a permanent transfer to Fiorentina following a successful loan spell, fee in the region of 50 million euros. Fiorentina do have an option to buy in his contract, so the fact that he's starting week in week out and thriving in that team for the price tag of just 15 million euros, it makes a lot of sense for him to sign for Fiorentina on a permanent transfer. And also in terms of Arsenal, they do have a pretty decent relationship with Fiorentina in the first place. Not only the transfer of Lucas Torreira, but also in terms of Dusan Vlahovic in open negotiations. I think this transfer makes a lot of sense, and for Arsenal, it gives them the extra bit of money if they want to sign an actual blockbuster midfielder. But in terms of Arsenal's striker and midfield priorities, I want to ask you guys a very interesting question. What do you think is Arsenal's biggest priority in this transfer window? Is it signing that blockbuster centre forward, or is it signing a central midfielder instead? Okay, let's move on and let's talk the other Arsenal news today. And starting off with Arsenal's Brazilian star boy, I call him Pelé Coutinho for good reason. Mr. Aaron Ramsdale speaking on Gabriel Martinelli, he says if he gets a little bit more physical, he will become a monster. He is still a kid and he's rapid and his finishing is frightening. He just runs all day long, he will chase anything down. In terms of Gabriel Martinelli, not only has he been on fire, but I think there's credit due for Mikel Arteta, because earlier in the season a lot of Arsenal fans were saying maybe it's time to loan out Gabriel Martinelli, and Mikel Arteta does not rate the player. But since Martinelli's returned to this Arsenal team, he looks like a better coach and better all-round player. Not only has his first touch improved, but also in terms of overall ball retention, which is very key for Arteta. It seems like Martinelli has massively improved. And in terms of wingers and Mikel Arteta, they do have a very good history. Go back to his days at Man City, the likes of Leroy Sané and Raheem Sterling have both confirmed that Arteta played a massive part into them both becoming monsters. And so in terms of Gabriel Martinelli, still 20 years of age, under Mikel Arteta, it could just be scary, but not for us. Keeping it on the Arsenal wingers, it's stat time of the day. Bukayo Saka has scored 4 goals in his last 3 Premier League games. I have seen a lot of Arsenal fans actually question what does Saka offer in terms of goals and assists. Well, in terms of that, the fact that he already has 10 goals and assists in the Premier League this season, a lot of you guys wanted it and he is now putting them on the table. And after his goal against City, that means Saka has scored or assisted against City, Man United, Liverpool, Spurs, Chelsea, Leicester and West Ham. I think goals from wingers are very important in the current day of football. Look at the last 2 teams to win the title, Man City and Liverpool. None of them had out-and-out goal scorers in terms of that striker. Bringing it back to Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka, for Arsenal it's very key that these guys keep scoring goals and getting assists. Going back to that game against Man City though, here's a video of Benjamin White after the game with the referees, and as you can see, he is not a happy man. I've also seen an increase of rival fans saying Arsenal are a dirty team and I don't like Arsenal. Well, good, because I don't want you to like Arsenal. I want the Arsenal team that is a master in the dark arts, because if Arsenal want to become a top team, that's what Liverpool and City both do. Now keeping it on that game against City, well, in terms of the winning goal scorer Rodri on Arsenal after the game, he says you can play these kind of matches only 2 or 3 times a season. They are an incredible team and they show why they are in this position. The way they are going with Mikel is huge. I think this game, despite of the result, gave Arsenal fans the performance they were looking for to see Mikel Arteta's vision if he's the right guy and whether Arsenal can go toe-to-toe with the best team in the league. But in terms of yourselves, talk to me right now. What are your current thoughts on the Arsenal manager 2 years into his Arsenal regime? Let's talk Mikel Arteta. Of course, in terms of Arsenal in a massive top 4 race, and in terms of one of the top 4 rivals today, dropping all 3 points against Wolves at home, Man United lost. And that for Arsenal is a huge one, because now even though they have 1 game in hand, even if they were to win that, they would not go above Arsenal. When you also then hear stats like 6 defeats in their past 14 Premier League games for Man United this season, you would say that United on paper have the best quality, or at least going into the season. But in terms of actually transmitting that on the pitch, the likes of Arsenal, Tottenham, West Ham as well are showing it on a more consistent basis and playing far better football. But what do you guys make of the top 4 race and after that performance against City, despite the results? Are you guys now believing that Arsenal can make the Champions League places this season? But that is the video there. If you guys have enjoyed, smash a like on it and subscribe if you're new. If you want to follow your boy on them social medias, please do, with the links down below in the description. But that was the return of the Transfers FC, and if my voice sounds a bit off, it's because your boy right now is low-key ill, but of course I could not disappoint. I'm here to be accounted for, and I will see you guys next time in a bit.